Can you hear me now? But will you hear me tomorrow? According to the World Health Organization, there's a very good chance that you or your loved ones will not. People are losing their hearing all over the planet at an alarming rate, and no one is losing their hearing more rapidly than young people. The Center for Disease Control estimates that just under 15% of 6 to 19-year-olds already have measurable levels of hearing loss. The World Health Organization is terming this a global health emergency and further predicts in just a mere 30 years, 1 in 4 people on this planet will have some level of hearing loss. This public health crisis is largely invisible, and most people are unaware, and yet it is almost certainly affecting either you, members of your families, or your friends. I'm a musician, and I'm completely deaf. Maybe not Beethoven caliber, but close. How many of you love music? I mean, really love music so that you can't imagine a life without music. I do too. I played drums and guitar and sang in bands for years. Now I'm deaf. So let me speak a little to what it means to lose your hearing. Shortly after high school, I started to lose my hearing, and I barely even noticed it. By the time I hit my mid-20s, I had my first set of hearing aids. Over the progressive years, those hearing aids became stronger and stronger until they got to the point where they really didn't work for me anymore. About 9 years ago, I was blessed with a grandson, and I was determined that I was going to be able to hear him. So I made the difficult decision to get cochlear implants. Now, cochlear implants are nothing like hearing aids. I have 19 wires that are implanted surgically through my skull into my cochlea. Those 19 wires are connected via Bluetooth to small computers that are over my ears. Those computers pick up sounds and then convert them to beeps and tones that then go through those wires into my cochlea and ultimately to my brain. It took months of training for my brain to recognize those tones as speech or anything close to the sounds that I remember. Now, don't get me wrong. This technology is amazing, and it gave me back a good part of my life so that I went from being totally deaf to being hearing impaired. That being said, there's still lots of challenges. The simplest activity, like going to buy a cup of coffee, creates anxiety, hard work, and I often misread what is being said. A trip to the grocery store and making use of those self-checkout stations. They are loud, they speak too fast, and quite frankly, at times they're just plain rude. I had one the other day tell me I'm getting baggy in some areas. Losing one's hearing affects your physical health, your psychological health, and impacts on every part of your life. It makes going to school and in the workplace and your relationships all challenging. So, what's going on and why are so many people losing their hearing? The short answer is noise. Half of all hearing loss is due to excessive exposure to noise. Our ears were just never designed for the level of noise that exists in our modern world. Through the thousands of years that our hearing evolved, what was the loudest thing we were likely to hear? Thunder, maybe getting too close to the trunk of a woolly mammoth, or if we lived in cave, it would have to be the grandkids. So what is it about noise that is impacting on our hearing? To understand that, I need to take you in to our ears and introduce you to these amazing guys. These are hair cells, and they reside in our cochlea, which is that organ in our ears that looks like a spiral seashell. Each of us has about 15,000 of these in each of our ears, and they do amazing things. What they do is they take the physical vibrations of sound and they convert it to electrical impulses in a microsecond. And they're specialized. Some convert high tones, some convert low tones, and some can distinguish the smallest difference between tones, which comes in really handy when you're trying to listen to music. Now, as amazing as these are, they're also extremely vulnerable to excessive noise. Any exposure over 70 to 80 decibels can irritate them and they become inflamed. We experience that as ringing in the ears. How many of you have attended an event, a concert, something where you left with ringing in your ears? If you have, that's your hair cells reacting. In most situations, if the noise wasn't terribly loud and it wasn't over a particularly long period of time, they can recover, repair themselves, and continue on their merry way. If, however, the noise is particularly loud or over a long period of time, they can become damaged and even die. And that brings us to the really important thing to remember. How loud and how long? You can lose your hearing in a few minutes if the noise is loud enough. If someone blows a trumpet in your ear, or you know those long plastic horns that you see that they sell at parades, someone blows one of those in your ear, you can lose your hearing immediately. And there are a variety of lawsuits to support this. When I was a drummer, I sat at the back of the stage with my drums surrounded by amplifiers. Between the drums and the amplifiers, it was a perfect storm of noise. And it was both loud and long. That was the beginning of the loss of my hearing. Now for the good news. Noise-induced hearing loss is entirely preventable. There have been many more people losing their hearing with the development of earbuds and headsets. Remember how loud and how long. With earbuds, people are listening louder and longer, and the time it takes to lose one's hearing is shorter. So if hearing loss is entirely preventable, there's some things we need to know. Parents, you can take steps to protect your children's hearing. Young people, there are apps and devices that exist today that can help protect your hearing. For educators, it's about spreading the word on this public health crisis and what can be done. So what can be done? Let's go back to how loud and how long. First, how loud. The obvious is to bring volume into safe levels. Now there are apps today that have built-in safety features that won't allow your personal audio device to go to a dangerous level. Most personal audio devices have a high limit of about 120 decibels. If you listen in that level, you will have permanent damage in less than an hour. Other things to control volume. Distance yourself from the source of the noise. Don't stand right in front of the speakers. Additionally, there are foam inserts and earplugs that still allow you to listen but keep it safe. And every professional musician has them, and so should we. In terms of how long, again, there are apps that will track your listening history and alert you to when you've gotten to dangerous levels. If you insist on listening to music loud, then understand, control the time and limit it. Please, the next time you're about to engage in a noisy activity, think of these two questions: how loud and how long? If you take proper precautions, you don't have to give up on your music, and you don't have to give up going to concerts. You, unlike me, can listen and enjoy these your entire life if you control the noise before it controls you. Thank you.